Welcome back to Game Trader Live. I'm your host Asif Khan, talking about stocks and tech stocks and gaming stocks, video game companies, earnings results. Got a lot of stuff to talk about today here on the stream. We're just going to dive right into it. If you were listening to the Apple conference call, it has come to an end. And now you're stuck with me. We're going to look at charts. So yeah, Apple up in after hours. We'll see what tomorrow looks like for the stock. The reason that Game Trader takes place on the end of the month is that we tend to look at longer term stock charts here. Last month we were focused on quarterly charts. This episode we're going to be looking at monthlies. So in the case of Apple, you had 2 inside months followed by a breakout above it. So you're going to watch, it's already up on July, so you're going to look for a breakout above the high of this year. Sorry, not high of this year. High of July, which was $216.23. The stock is currently trading at $212.60 in after hours, so it's not above that level yet. Yeah, there's definitely some uncertainty around tariffs to answer you're right, but we got 2 of the largest tech companies reporting today. Amazon beat expectations and Apple beat expectations, and during the conference call Apple kind of had these two, so there was the results came out, stock went up, then it sold off, then it went up again. So what happened right here at around 5:20 on the conference call, Tim Cook said that most of Apple's R&D expenditure increase in the quarter was due to increased investment in AI. Now that's direct AI investment at Apple, but also they said they're investing in third parties to create infrastructure for their services. So I don't know what they're talking about there. He also said that they're open to M&A, mergers and acquisitions, as a way to grow their AI tech portfolio. So I think that second run that you saw on the stock on this chart, I think most of that movement came from the comments about AI and investing in AI. It's safe to say that Siri is the worst AI assistant, and I think Siri, 16 years old at this point. There's no excuse for Siri to be as bad as it is. But yeah, you had Amazon beat on earnings too today. Let me just pull up the Amazon article. Yeah, Amazon beat both earnings results and both the earnings and revenue expectations. There's Jeff Bezos smiling about how rich he is. You had $1.68 EPS versus $1.33 expected, and a whisper number of $1.47. They also came in $5 billion ahead on revenue. $167.7 billion on revenue. Expected was $162. The stock did go down after hours in reaction originally, because the guidance has a midpoint. Their operating income guidance for next quarter has a midpoint of $18 billion, and analysts were expecting $19.48 billion. So yeah, we got that article up on Shacknews right now. Another just Amazon data point. Amazon Web Services, which is they kind of control the internet. Amazon Web Services reported $30.9 billion in Q2 revenue. That's tremendously massive. This is one of the largest. This by itself would still be one of the largest companies on Earth, but it's just part of Amazon. I thought that was an interesting data point, though. And if you missed it, Figma, which is like a cloud service Adobe Photoshop kind of like thing. I think that's the right way to describe it. It's a collaborative design app. His stock was up 250% today. They priced the IPO at $33. The stock closed above 115 on the day. So that's a lot of hamburgers. Yeah, lots of news here in after hours. Yeah. Saying you're investing in AI just kind of feels like a thing people say now, so investors are happy. If this were ancient Rome, they'd totally be investing in aqueducts. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that it is a go-to move, but these companies are putting their money where their mouth is, Scanner. Not just Apple, but if you look at Apple's R&D expense in the quarter, it was $8.8 billion. That's up from $8 billion last year. And for the full year, they've spent, or for the first 9 months of their fiscal year, they've spent $25.6 billion versus $23.6 the previous year. So it's not ramping up tremendously, but still a 10% increase from Apple on spend is something noticeable. And also, like, Apple's AI efforts have kind of been underwhelming so far. So I agree with you that they're trying to appease investors by saying that. And that's why I bring up that chart. It went up on Tim Cook basically saying as much. So you're right that the lip service does lead to gains in your stock. But I say this every episode. I don't know if it's the case with Apple, because I think Apple's the one company that isn't working really directly with NVIDIA. But, you know, all roads kind of lead to NVIDIA, in my opinion. Did Tim Cook say something stupid after? Are you talking about over here? No, this was just when the conference call was wrapping up. You're talking about this 1 minute where it traded 86,000 shares and dropped from 213 to 210. Yeah, that was just the end of the call. You have to remember, we're looking at a 1 minute chart here. Each bar on this chart represents 1 minute. I have not heard of this podcast or whatever that is, but I'm not a how do I put this? I'm not a head in the sand kind of person when it comes to AI. I think there are use cases for AI that are good. I think a lot of what's being focused on right now is not good. But I do think that AI, not all AI will prove to be worthless, I guess is what I would say. I just realized I'm going to crop me even a little bit more. There you go. But like, I think language translation, for instance, is a useful case for AI being implemented in operating systems and stuff. Do I think that every company is shoving AI into their products? Yes. WeTransfer is a good example of that. Just this last week, we had to leave. We had to leave WeTransfer because they changed their terms of service, saying that they could use our files to help train an AI neural network, and we're like, we're not going to do that. Yes. Okay. So like, a lot of companies seem to be trying to jump to trying to have it solve the problem with why do we have to pay people. I think our space specifically, Scanner, the media, I think we've seen that said more about us than maybe most other places. And you're seeing the inverse happening now, right? Where these companies, these conglomerates that were firing people and saying AI was going to replace them, they're turning around now and saying, oh crap, we're going to have to hire some people back, aren't we? So I think that generative AI is not as valuable as people think. But there's other things that AI can do that I think would be very valuable. Um, so, but like, why don't I own any single one of these AI companies then? I don't own Microsoft. I have a few shares of Apple from long time ago, but that's not why I own it. I don't own Facebook. I don't own Google, right? So why do I think AI is still something not to ignore in the market? Well, I do own Nvidia, and I've described this as a gold rush, not unlike the dot-com bubble, right? Where instead of buying the gold miners, I'm buying the company that sells pickaxes to the gold miners. That's Nvidia. And you look at this chart, this long-term chart of Nvidia, they seem to be benefiting greatly from this trend. But like, do I think that we're all going to get replaced? Probably not. See, I wanted to hit up Apple. Apple, obviously, if you were listening, you're still with us. Apple's conference call just wrapped up, and I think one of the biggest things that Tim said was that I actually clipped it. Or no, I think we made a headline out of it. Cook, in an interview with CNBC, said Apple views AI as one of the most profound technologies of our lifetime. We are significantly growing our investments, Cook said about AI. We're embedding it across our devices, across our platforms, and across the company, to kind of to your point, Scanner. And Cook said that Apple has acquired around 7 companies so far this year, although none of them have been huge in terms of dollar amount. He said, we're open to M&A, mergers and acquisitions, that accelerate our AI roadmap. So I think Apple is going to buy an AI company instead of doing their own chatbot. I think that's probably what's going to happen. Either Anthropic or not AI, probably not OpenAI. I still think Apple's going to develop their own AI features like image playground, the emoji generator, their summary thing that they use in email and messages now. Some of the generative AI stuff's going to come to different things where you compose text. But yeah, I guess my point is, like, I'm following the money, and right now what I see are very large tech companies committing to spend hundreds of billions of dollars over the next few years. So this is Microsoft, this is Facebook, this is Google, this is Apple. Obviously, OpenAI is not publicly traded, but OpenAI is doing this as well. So you have 5 very large tech companies, or 4. Tesla has their own thing going on. XAI has their thing going on. There's like a handful of tech companies that have a ton of money that are all running up against really tough year-over-year comparisons with respects to their revenue growth. So they're all trying to they're trying to go all in on AI, because the opinion in Silicon Valley and on Wall Street is that the first company to get real artificial general intelligence will become the most valuable company on earth. Everyone will bow down to them, yada, 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 right? So I think that is still the belief that is driving the decision-making in Silicon Valley and on Wall Street as a result. So it's like, instead of trying to go after fast food restaurants, which are struggling right now, I think a lot of people are piling into the big tech companies. And we just had Meta report yesterday, and we just had Microsoft report yesterday. And Meta had better than expected numbers and committed to spending over $100 billion on AI for the next few years. They said they have no idea when they'll actually turn a profit from their AI efforts, but clearly they don't care, because they see it as an existential threat to their company. And I think that's what what Google sees. Yeah. I mean, you're describing my website right now, Scanner. Like, we're not using AI at all. And we haven't fired anyone since ChatGPT launched. I think you're describing Shacknews when you're anti-AI sentiment. If you listen to any of us talk about AI in our Slack or in our Discord meetings or even on streams or on during the podcast, like, there's good AI and there's bad AI, and there's this idea that all content will be created by AI. We really, really disagree with that. We don't think you're ever going to be reading a preview from an AI bot. We don't think you're going to be. I don't think anyone's going to care if an AI bot reviews a game. So I do think that there's a place in media for actual content. In another universe, I mean, some would say I am the evil Asif, and the other universe contains the good Asif. So who knows? But yeah, like I think there's a, I think there's just a path forward where traditional media exists, to fact check the AI, because without us, you're gonna start having really messy stuff. I don't know, like, let me see, let me see if I can create something here. AI mode. Oh, they're right. I asked AI where Zer was on Google. They got it right. I can't, it's hard to create an example just out of thin air, but I've been like searching for guides before, and I run into an answer from Gemini where it takes half an answer from one website and half from another, and it gives you the wrong answer. And the problem with AI chatbots in general right now is they're all very confident, even when they're wrong. And that just leads to less informed users, all sorts of issues. But yeah, Meta reported they beat expectations. Microsoft reported they beat expectations. Apple reported they beat expectations. Amazon reported they beat expectations. I mean, obviously misinformation spreads faster than real information. But yeah, Amazon stock is down quite a bit. I don't know what they said on the conference call, but it couldn't have been good. They did guide their operating profit lower. I mentioned that earlier, and I think that was one of the reasons. But Amazon is also the kind of stock that will reverse its after-hour move the next day, so maybe keep an eye on that one tomorrow, because their actual quarter was pretty solid. That is a shooter on. We'll have to look at the monthly chart tomorrow, but you have quite a range here now on the month, and you were bumping up against the all-time high. Wouldn't surprise me to see tech companies in general, but a company like Amazon have a rough August in a vacuum of no news. Apple, I mentioned already, double inside months followed by a breakout above it. So now we're going to look for a breakout above the high of July. That would be a buy signal in August. I want to get back to like how I normally start the show. This is a little different this week because I was already streaming when the Game Trader part of this began. But yeah, the S&P 500, it hit an all-time high this month of on the SPY. It was 639.85. It has 3 consecutive months of gains. So once again, I won't be surprised if we see some consolidation in August. The Dow Jones Industrials, or the DIA, as we look at them here, up on the month. Also 2 consecutive months. A little bit more weakness here. It has some companies in it that have had a rough go of it lately. Apple being one of them. I think I'm trying to remember who else is in it. Like, people like to talk about the Dow Jones a lot, but in reality, like, can you name the 30 companies in there? I struggle to. Cookies. Allow all cookies. Accept and save cookies. Here we go. Where are the holdings? Dow Jones 30 company list. Here we go. Amazon down, American Express, AMZN, Apple, Boeing, Caterpillar, Cisco, Chevron, Goldman Sachs, Home Depot, Honeywell, IBM, Johnson & Johnson, Coke, JP Morgan, McDonald's, 3M, Merck, Microsoft, Nike, Procter & Gamble, Sherwin-Williams, Travelers, United Health Group. That was the one I was thinking of. United Health Group has had a very bad month. Salesforce.com, Nvidia, Verizon, Visa, Walmart, and Disney. So if we go and we look at the United Health chart on the month, woof. This is one of the worst charts in the entire market right now. And you have a stock that is down on the year. It's down 50% on the year. It's down almost 20% on the quarter. It was down almost 20% this month after going inside month and down. So you had an active sell signal this whole month in UNH. And who doesn't want to short UNH? Look, you've had now inside bar and down, inside bar and down again, followed by an inside bar and down. This has been a downtrend that's been in place for like the entire year. And you've had multiple actionable signals on the monthly chart to get in and out of this trade. So yeah, if you want to continue it down here, it's a short below the low of July, which is 247 and 75 cents. But yeah, when you have only 30 stocks and one of your highest weighted stocks is down 50% on the year, that's how you get some underperformance in an index like the Dow Jones. Whereas the S&P 500 is comprised of 500 companies and it's market cap weighted. The Dow Jones is weighted based on their share price. And UNH, earlier this year, or at the end of last year, UNH was a $622 stock. That made it the second highest weighted stock in the entire Dow Jones. So when it collapsed, that's why it has adversely impacted the Dow Jones. So once again, I would not buy the Dow Jones ever. But yeah, sell signal below 437.64 on the monthly chart of the DIA, the Dow Jones Index. Let's look at tech real quick. We've been talking about tech. It's tech earnings week, but the Qs are now 4 consecutive months up. It's up on the year, 10% now. Up on the quarter, 2%. The quarter's still ongoing, obviously. But on the quarterly chart, it happened. We had an outside quarter. Last episode, I pointed this out. It broke out above it. So above 552 and 80 cents, this got running, and it went as high as 574.63 before pulling back. So you still have time on that quarterly buy signal. That's the level to watch. 552.80, and we're currently trading above it. So you have an active buy signal on the Qs. Not to mention, you have all of this evidence that Microsoft did well, Amazon did well despite their guidance, Facebook did well, Google did well, Apple did well, and then like some of these smaller companies like Reddit. I'm wrong about this one. I have been wrong about Reddit, and I remain wrong about Reddit, and I will admit that I'm wrong about Reddit. I don't understand why it's where it's trading. I don't get its valuation at all. If it's a revenue growth story, so be it. But yeah, you have a stock that hit 189 after hours, is up almost 20%. It trades at a PE ratio of 257. Let me see what else. I kind of want to look at some of the more of the fundamentals on this one. Yeah, Reddit's being valued at almost $30 billion right now. Trading at a trailing PE of 30, forward PE of 120 times earnings, 18 times sales, 12 times book value. They have cash of $1.95 billion and very little debt, so that's good. Their margins are 8%, not the worst. Revenue of so they have annual revenue of $1.4 billion, and they're trading for $30 billion. that's where I'm like, that seems high. An 18 times sales ratio, price to sales ratio seems very high for Reddit. I think it's possible that more people are advertising on Reddit. That's entirely possible, Greg. I don't know if that's the number one reason why the stock is doing so well. I think it's it's a company where the users can continue to grow. It's actually also heavily shorted, 18% shorted still of the float. So there are a lot of people betting against it. I am not one of those people. But I don't understand the valuation of Reddit, and I think if they can, well, let's go to their investor relations page. See if I can dig a little bit more into Reddit here. Because, yeah, Reddit on the year is up 15%. It's had a very volatile year. But, yeah, on the monthly chart, it's looking good. Okay, second quarter results. So, yeah, their revenue's growing pretty rapidly. And daily... I'm just going to drag and drop this over the screen. Here you go. So, yeah, Reddit had daily active unique visitors was increased 21% year over year to 110 million. So, like, that's the number that I think lends to Reddit having a lot more upside, is that they can just keep growing their users. It's not 110 million. That's less than the Snapchat user base. That's less than Google. That's less than YouTube. That's less than Facebook. That's less than Twitter. It's more than Blue Sky, but yeah, it's in the grand scheme of the internet, 110 million people is not that much penetration, honestly. So they can continue to grow if they get more active users. But I think there's a lot of people who read Reddit that don't even have user accounts. They just see them in the search results. Their gross margins are insane. 90.8% gross margin is quite impressive. So they are wildly profitable. But yeah, they're growing. They're growing at 78%, and they're making 90 cents on the dollar when they do. They're making money as opposed to losing money a year ago. Everything's going in the right direction for them. And yeah, U.S. revenues are up 9%. International revenues. I think that's the story here, is Reddit is very English focused. I think if they can expand into foreign countries more, that's a huge growth opportunity for Reddit. So I think it is like a pie kind of scenario where Reddit can continue to eat more pie, even if the industry is contracting, even if Google search is terrible. Their threads are being prioritized in Google search results now. So yeah, Reddit had a great quarter today. Stock's going to be up a ton tomorrow, but yeah, it's up 30% after hours now. You had an inside day and up, so you had a buy signal going into the quarterly report, and then it just kept going. Weekly chart, that's just a huge. It's gonna try to make a run at this all-time high, which is 230 and 41 cents. So that's still like, $43 higher than where it is right now. So if you're bold, you can trade Reddit on the long side, I guess. Yeah, I agree that Reddit benefits the most from Google. But I would not be doing backflips trying to buy Reddit here. From a valuation standpoint, I just simply don't like it. But they can grow. If they're growing revenues at 78% year over year, they deserve to trade at a premium to their sales. And that 17 or 15 multiple is not that crazy because they're growing revenues rapidly. When that slows down at some point, that's when the stock's going to get hit. Historically, that's usually what happens to these online daily active user kind of story companies. But, you know, they're also, I think, to Greg's point, they're putting more ads inside of the feeds. They're trying to experiment with display ad tech and other stuff. But yeah, Reddit had a crazy day today. And it could have one tomorrow too. Sorry. IWM. I'm jumping around a little bit. The small caps are down on the week. Let's see how their monthly chart looks. Small caps doing the same thing. This is the Russell 2000. These are 2,000 of the mid-cap companies. So yeah, 3 consecutive months up. Nothing too crazy there. It did get above this hammer on the quarterly chart. So you still have a little bit above 217.40 a share. It's currently at 219.35. So there's your stop if you want to go long. This is not as impressive of a chart as the Qs. Qs definitely looking stronger than most of the other markets right now. The S&P and the Qs look very similar, with the Dow Jones and the IWM looking a little bit weaker. For instance, the IWM has not hit an all-time high this year, where the NASDAQ has, the Dow Jones has, and S&P has as well. So, you know, you got a laggard there. And then an index sector that I like to pay very close attention to is the semiconductors. And I mentioned it last quarter. You had an outside quarter after an inside quarter, and now you have another outside quarter. So above 280.50 cents, there's a buy signal in this semiconductor ETF, which closed this quarter at 288.25. So let's look at some components. Yeah, you had that outside quarter from NVIDIA, which is identical to what we were just talking about. We had 2 outside quarters followed by a breakout above that range. So you saw that in NVIDIA. You saw that in AMD, albeit from much lower levels. AMD sold off all the way to $75, and now it's back above $174. So AMD is another one of those that benefited from the SMH recovery. It's not all puppies and flowers at the semiconductor industry right now. ARM Holdings is getting obliterated this week. It's down 13%. Their earnings showed a little bit of weakness. Qualcomm, not sure why they're selling off this stock. They actually had some really good things to say on the quarter. I think some of these stocks are getting hit and it's purely profit taking. We saw that with Netflix. Netflix reported earnings and has kind of been selling off since. Netflix had a really solid quarter. So some of these companies are reporting great quarters and still selling off. Amazon is the example today, with a big ol' stinky outside bar that we're going to have to pay attention to tomorrow. But yeah, would not be surprised to see Amazon sell off tomorrow. But then again, like I said, it could even reverse. Who knows? Let's see. So, some weird stuff happened in... I don't even like to use the term, but the media does. In the world of meme stocks, since the last episode, GoPro had a week where it was up 70%. There was no news. It was just a concerted effort to buy a bunch of low-priced stocks by Reddit, and GoPro was one of them. So this is a stock that was 40 cents on April 11th. It hit as high as $2.37 last week. It's now back down to $1.28. Not telling you to buy GoPro. I'm just observing and reporting. Here's the main event. This is why you guys watch this show, right? We got Nintendo earnings tonight. Late at night, you will be reading articles written by me under the influence of THC lemonade, most likely. But yeah, there will be some Nintendo news tonight. This is the last day of the month. Nintendo is trading inside month. So we know that Nintendo is set up for something next month. It's like the end of the month, and we have a potential actionable signal, and literally the end of the month, we're going to get data from them. We're going to know how many Switch 2s have they sold? How many games have they sold? How many copies of Mario Kart have they sold? Right? So we're going to get some actual information from Nintendo. So it would be a sell on the month of August for the entire month if it goes below $20.97. If it gets above this month's high of $23.50, it would be a buy signal. You guys remember last month when I said it was really close to my target for the year and that I wouldn't be surprised if it sold off? Well, it sold off 12.4% on the month, but it stayed inside month. So you have a buy signal above $23.50 and a sell signal below $20.97. I understand that's a very wide range, and it is entirely possible that the stock will stay inside of that range again next month in August. But we have a risk range to pay attention to now because the stock is trying to find equilibrium here. It won't, most likely. So if the numbers are disappointing, $20.97 a share, that's where they're going to start to hit the stock. If they somehow report a really banger quarter, the stock will have to get above $23.50. And then you have to pay attention to this long-term uptrend. The upper end of this long-term trend that's been in place since 2013, you have to pay attention to. And I mentioned it, the bottom of this channel, it's all the way down here at like $11 right now. So we're very far extended from the low end of this range, this risk range, this ascending, broadening formation, this uptrend. And you can see it every time we've hit this. It's one time where it went below it. I think this was when the Switch 2 got delayed. But for the most part, this lower bound of the broadening formation on Nintendo has proven to be support. But man, that would be a huge fall for Nintendo to go all the way back down to $11 from here. I don't think that's very likely. But we're going to have to pay attention to what the tariff situation is over there. Are they going to mention it? Are they going to have to change their guidance? Did the Switch 2 sell so well that they have to actually increase their expectations for the full year? Nintendo is very conservative when it comes to issuing guidance. So are they going to remain conservative? Are we going to get an idea of what the tariff impact was? All sorts of information will come out here late at night tonight. So if you're a night owl, you'll be able to read about it on Shacknews tonight. If you're someone who likes to read Shacknews financial news in the morning with your cup of coffee, we'll have plenty of stories for you tomorrow to read about Nintendo's earnings results. This is my largest holding still. I thankfully, it's important to note that it is up on the year. So it's not like, yeah, we had a bad month, but it's still up 43% on the year, which is better than most stocks. It's up on the year. It's down on the quarter because the quarter and the month right now are the same, right? July is the first month of this third quarter of the calendar year. So yeah, it's down on the month, down on the quarter. So you don't have time frame continuity right now, but that could all change tomorrow because it's a new month, right? What's interesting about this month specifically is that the weekly chart doesn't reset until Monday. The month, because August 1st is tomorrow, so this week includes 2 months basically. So the monthly chart changes. We'll have a new bar for the monthly chart tomorrow. The other thing I find interesting about this is that when Nintendo reports tonight, it'll be after Friday afternoon in Japan. So the stock will not have, Japan's stock market will not have an opportunity to react to this Nintendo news until Monday, Sunday night in America. I think it's kind of interesting. It's like a forced cool down period for investors. Like, hey, take the weekend off. Really dive into this before you make a decision. Now, obviously, America trades tomorrow, and Europe will be trading tomorrow, and Nintendo trades in Germany or France. I think it might be France. Under NTO, and then they trade here in America under NTDOY, obviously, and NTDOF. But yeah, I'm obviously keeping a close eye on this one. It's up quite a bit on the year. There's a lot of already built-in optimism in the stock. But every indication is that Switch 2 is selling like crazy right now. So if you can't find one, by the way, we are doing a fundraising giveaway here. For $5, you can enter a $5 donation to the Trans Lifeline. You can enter a Switch 2 giveaway. So seems like a no-brainer. Like $500 bundle, $5 entry, donating money to a trans charity that really needs it. That's a good question, Greg. I think we might do it, tomorrow or next week. I don't know. But I would recommend people donate. Because it's a good charity. And, yeah, it seems like there should be more people entering a contest for a Switch 2 giveaway. Oh, boy. I love how my friends, definitely don't watch my stream. Super don't watch my stream. FaceTime calling me during my stream. It's just with friends like these, right? I think it's happened every episode of Game Trader, too. It's funny. Anyway. Sorry for my 5 iOS devices all ringing simultaneously. Let's see. What else we got going on? I mentioned tariffs. We can get into that here in a second. What was the other company that reported? We mentioned Fig. Fig wasn't earnings related. Fig was just the IPO. And it must have been horribly priced. Yeah, we talked about how Tim Cook said the company's open to M&A. Talked about Reddit. Talked about Fig. Talked about Amazon. Talked about Apple. Yeah. So I came across a pretty interesting article on CNBC, and I thought we might just go over it together. Because I think a lot of people probably don't know what to think about the tariffs. And exactly, there's just so much misinformation about tariffs, people who don't know what they're talking about. But, let's see what the tariff environment really is going to look like in different countries. So, there's Glorious Leader right there. The UK has negotiated probably the best deal out of all of these all these countries. It's a 10% tariff. Before the agreement, it was at 25%. Vietnam, I think, was actually the second country to make a deal with Trump. 20% tariff versus 46% before that. Indonesia got it down to 19% from 32%. Philippines 19% from 20%. That doesn't seem like that great of a deal. Japan got it down to 15% from 25%. The EU negotiated a 15% deal down from 30%. South Korea was 15% down from 25%. And the Chinese talks are still ongoing. Trump has indicated that he will extend the 30% tariff for another 90 days, as opposed to the 145% tariff that was in place for a few weeks in April. Yeah, the UK was the first. So those are the deals that we have right now. Here's some of the trading partners without a deal. Canada, Mexico, India, and Australia. I saw that the 30% threatened tariff is still in place with with Mexico, And yeah, Canada and the United States have not made a deal, which is insane considering there are probably our greatest ally. And people who read the AI explanation. What's that? There's AI explanations? Yeah. So there are really weird claims being made by the Trump administration. Like, South Korea will give to the United States $350 billion for investments owned and controlled by the United States and selected by myself as president, said Trump. 90% of the profits from that $350 billion investment will be going to the American people, says our Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. How they can claim any of this is, I don't know. But, yeah. So you got, there's a look at the tariff environment here. I did want to just kind of give people an idea of, like, here's what we're looking at going into August 1st. Why I mention that is the tariff deadline from Trump is tomorrow, August 1st. This is obviously July 31st. So I thought it would be important to mention that. So when it comes to Nintendo specifically, or even Sony and Microsoft, they're all impacted by this. You know, every hardware device in tech is basically made in China, or assembled in China, or a part comes from China, or a machine that assembles it comes from China. So the Chinese tariffs that deal not being reached yet is a cloud of uncertainty on the tech industry. But now we have certainty from tariffs in Japan, tariffs in Vietnam. We've had Trump make some exceptions for AI chips in China. So it seems like the market is reacting in a way where this could have been worse, so we're going to rally instead. But this is still worse than it would have been if Trump wasn't elected. I want to make that abundantly clear. We're not celebrating 15% tariffs. It means everything's going to go up by at least 10 or 15% in price. And the American consumer is going to have the cost passed down to them. So it's like, once again, ridiculous. Because you know what's not happening? No one's getting their wages increased by 10 to 15%. Very few people are. So it's like the cost of everything is about to go up 15%, and the cost of labor is staying the same. So you do the math. Is consumption going to go up or down? And everyone's like, oh, the GDP's fine. Yeah, that shit's backwards looking. That shit is backwards looking. I might time you out for even saying that in chat, Greg. You know what? Even though you're not a moderator, you know what? You're going to get a timeout. Just for bringing that shit into my chat. How do I time him out? Boom. You've been timed out. I don't need that shit. Fuck out of here with that. Even if it's a joke, I don't even want to hear it. Anyway, I hope you're still watching, Greg, but I had to ban you for the content purposes. Maybe I'll unban him. If someone donates to the trans lifeline, maybe I'll unban Greg. Or if you want to donate 20, like maybe if it's like $5 to unban, or $5 to unban Greg, $20 to ban him again. This is Evil Awesome. I told you. Everyone's like, oh, maybe there's some Evil Asif in another universe. I'm like, what if this is the universe with Evil Asif? And then there's some very lovely guy in some other universe. It's entirely possible, Lucci. It's entirely possible, Scanner, that this is the bad place. But anyway, I just wanted to like bring the tariffs to this discussion because I think a lot of people are confused about it. And the government has done a terrible job communicating these deals. Remember, they said that we're going to have 97 deals in the first 100 days. They had 0. And now we're still kind of like, everyone's like, oh, these are wins. These are great deals. Art of the deal. How is this the art of the deal? It's like the group of Japanese people that were like part of the trade group negotiating with the United States. They said, like, the people negotiating with us don't understand basic math. So, like, I think it's... I think it's funny that, like, the Japanese were like, yeah, we're not sure they know what they're doing. That was like in I want to say May, when the trade talks kind of fell through. But yeah, this is I would say the tariffs, like, we're going to get some interesting commentary from Nintendo tonight. We're going to understand what's going on with their tariffs. Maybe we'll get an idea on how profitable is the Switch 2, right? What are the per unit margins? What are the per unit margins here in America versus over in Japan? I don't know if we'll get that kind of detail, but people are going to start to kind of look for that. How well did Mario Kart World sell? I want to know how well it's sold as an individual game at the $80 price point, right? That's going to be interesting. But also the attach rate, like how many copies of Mario Kart are being sold alongside the system, or how many bundles were bought. I think 4 out of 5 Switch 2 buyers are going to have Mario Kart World. So that's going to be interesting to see. I don't think we're going to get any news about Donkey Kong Bonanza on this result, because that came out in July, which is the next quarter for them. So yeah, we'll have to wait on that most likely. We did have a partner showcase today, but we did not have like a first party announcement at all. So we still don't know the Metroid Prime 4 release date. We don't know if there's any other first party games coming out. I've heard rumors of like Fire Emblem or a Mario Sports title. I have a theory if you guys want to hear it. No? Okay. But yeah, like I Mario 40 is coming up in September, guys. That's all I gotta say. They gotta do something, right? Like, it would be very Nintendo of them to have this earnings-focused financial report on Friday, and then next week announce a first-party direct, right? So you give us all this financial information, you give us your forecast, and then you announce shit after that that will drastically alter your forecast in 3 months. Nintendo are masters of doing this. So it wouldn't surprise me if we find out like a Metroid Prime 4 release date in the next few weeks. Obviously, Dragon Drive is coming out, so they're going to start pushing that a little bit more. But that's not a big game. That's kind of like a 1-2 switch or like an ARMS. So I don't think they're going to go ham with that. But I do think that now that Donkey Kong is out in the world, they have their Accolades trailer out already, they're going to focus on, well, what's the next big game from us? And it's either a Mario game that's unannounced or Metroid, right? Like, that's the next, it has to be one of those. Unless Metroid's slipping into later than we thought. But, like, right now, we know that Pokemon ZA comes out in October. I think most people think that Hyrule Warriors... Do we have a Hyrule Warriors Age of, or Imprisonment? Do we have a release date for that game? Did that get announced today? Don't know. Can someone get Raru on the phone? So I'm going to try to find if they did announce that or not. I don't think they did. Do we have a release date for Hyrule Warriors? No. Weird. Hold on, maybe they do. No. So yeah, we don't know when Hyrule Warriors is coming out. We don't know when Metroid Prime 4 is coming out. We know when Pokemon ZA is coming out. And ZA and Metroid, they're both coming out on Switch as well as Switch 2. There are still 150 million Switches in the world. That's another thing we could watch for on this call. Is this the quarter that the Nintendo Switch surpasses the DS? Right? Is this that quarter? Is it finally happening? And the answer is maybe, right? Like, we don't know. top selling titles, video game units. So yeah, I'll just plop this over here. So the number is 152.12 million units for Switch 2. Or sorry, for Switch 1. The DS is the GOAT at 154.02. So they needed to sell 1.97? I don't know. I can't math. Someone else do the math for me. If only Bubbletron was here. They're good at calculating things. Let's see. 154.12 minus 154.02. I screwed that up. 152.12 minus. Terry McLaurin has requested a trade. Thanks, ESPN. Yeah, 1.9 million. If they sold 1.9 million units in the quarter, they will have tied the DS as the best-selling Nintendo system. Yeah. So that's another story to watch for. It's not as exciting. It seems like a matter of when, not if, right? And then the other question I always have. So like we're gonna get a new top selling. We're gonna get like a whole new page for this, right? I'm curious. Did Mario Kart, like, how many units of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe sold during the quarter that Mario Kart World launched? I'd be curious to know that. Because it sold 68.2 million units so far. That's a crazy number. But yeah, those are some of the data points that we'll be looking for on the Nintendo quarter. Let's see. I guess we can look at some other charts. I already gave a pretty in-depth look at Nintendo's stock chart. Let's go down the list. AMD reports next week. Had 3 consecutive months up. I think we have a quarterly. Yeah. You have an outside quarter and up buy signal that's in effect for another 2 months above 147 and 75. It's currently at 173. So you're well above the buy signal here. We'll see what they have to say. But based on everything we're hearing, it seems pretty good for companies that make AI chips or cloud chips. I will say that AMD is a supplier to both, actually 3 companies. They supply the chip for Steam Deck, they supply the chip for PlayStation 5, and they supply the chip for the Xbox Series X and S. So this weakness that Microsoft just reported in hardware sales may impact AMD, but gaming is not as big of a deal to both AMD and Nvidia anymore. It is a bigger deal at AMD than Nvidia, but in both cases, this used to be their bread and butter, and now it's not. So yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on AMD next week, but like I said, you do have a buy signal in effect for the quarter, with the stop being at 147.75. And you can look for shorter time frames to get into. Stock was down today, outside day. So you're going to have a sell signal on the daily chart for Friday below 173, a buy signal above 182.50. Let's see. Woof. Amazon really sold off in after hours. They didn't like that profitability guidance. ARM Holdings also sold off pretty hard on earnings yesterday. So on the longer term charts, you have an outside week to the downside. It's inside quarter. So that's kind of interesting. Because you had it inside quarter followed by an outside quarter. It dipped below that into the lower part of that bonding formation only to come back inside. And now you have an inside quarter brewing. You do have 2 months left on that, though. inside month though. So now next month you would continue to see selling below 139.11 and above 166.88. If you're asking like why I keep mentioning inside bars, this is part of the strategy called the Strat, created by Rob Smith, my trading mentor. Actionable signals like this, you see them all over the place, because what's happening is the price is trying to find equilibrium. And more often than not, equilibriums break. So you had that happen down here. Stock sold off all the way down to 100, and then in April all the way down to 80, only to bounce back. So now we have another inside month that we can pay attention to. So it's a buy above 166.88 and a sell below 139.11. Obviously, we're closer to the low point of this range. This sell-off just happened today. So yeah, tomorrow will be the first day of the month. Those are your risk ranges to watch. ARM Holdings. And that's for the entire... TC 2000 wants me to agree to their terms of service while I'm talking to you. Let's see what else is going on. Corsair, nothing on the month really. The stock's not dead, basically, is the news here. Inside quarter and up, and then it's kind of been churning around since then. I think Corsair is an interesting company. Because you're talking about a market cap of less than $1 billion. I like their products. I think they make good fans, good cases. Some of their stuff that they bought may not be as great, but like they have Elgato as a property that they own, and Elgato is known as like one of the best streaming brands out there. It's trading at 1.5 times book value. It seems light, and a discount to its sales, 0.7 times sales. So you have Reddit trading at 15 times sales, and then you have Corsair trading at less than 1 times sales. Just going to throw that out there as a comparison. Obviously, different industries, different sectors, different all sorts of stuff. But just kind of interesting to me that they are not getting the benefit of the doubt. Now, they only have $216 million of debt and $99 million of cash. There's not some imminent liquidity event happening here. But yeah, they've fallen under tough times. I think the tariffs are hurting them in a big way. But yeah, Corsair is a stock to watch. Denny's is not dead yet. Just want to say that. It's inside month and actually setting up a rev strat to the downside, or the upside actually, because it's an inside outside month now. So you would have a buy signal in Denny's just on the chart. I'm not telling people to buy this based on fundamentals. Above $4.70 and a sell signal below $3.69. This is one of those stocks though that did participate in that meme stock rally that happened earlier this month. So you had the stock go from 391 all the way up to 465 in a week last week. It's selling off on that. No actual news about the company actually improving. There may, yeah, you're right, Scanner. Like they do put LEDs on a lot of stuff. They're LED RAM or whatever. But like the actual Corsair cases, I think, are some of the best in the business. I am the computer I'm talking to you on is a Corsair. Has Corsair RAM in it. Has a Corsair case. But yeah, I think there's a cyclical nature to computer suppliers, but there's also they're adversely. Yeah, it's not. You're right. It's not as good as it used to be, but I think that just happens to companies over time, right? They get copied. There's obviously cheaper options out of China, and there's just some better high end cases too, but I think the problem is a lot of their stuff is commoditized. RAM is, I don't care what my RAM looks like. I just want to know did I get the best deal on the RAM? Is it the best RAM that I could get for the price, right? That's all that matters. I feel that way about fans. So I'm going to go with Noctua over a Corsair fan. There are better cases for lower prices. The other place where I think they've gotten worse, Lucci, is their keyboards. I used to swear by Corsair keyboards, and I actually don't find them to be that great anymore. So you're right. I think they're not as popular as they once were. Now, Elgato, they still have their fastball at Elgato. They're some of the best products in the capture space. As we sit here and look at the Denny's stock. What a wild ride at Disney. Disney had an inside quarter, an up, and now it's trading inside quarter still. That's 2 months left on that bar. It traded inside month after this huge run. So you're going to have a sell signal below $118.50 and a buy signal above $124.61. So yeah, it was down on the month, but still, I want to say it's up on the year. Is it up on the year? Yeah, just barely. And interesting. Outside year. So an outside bar means it's quite the opposite of an inside bar. Duh. But so in the full year of 2024, Disney traded in a range of $83.91 to $123.74. This year, it fell below that level, got down to $80.10, and went above the high, $124.69. So there is a buy signal above $123.74, and it's valid between now and the end of the year. And then conversely, there is a sell signal below $83.91. I mentioned the buy signal because we're obviously closer to that. We're about $5 away from that price, and you're almost like $35 away or $38 away from the downside target. But yeah, Disney could finally be getting out of this rough year that was the year 2020. They got hit really hard because they had to shut down the parks during COVID and all that stuff, and then they had to rebound, and then they hired Pat McAfee, and the rest is history. EA reported this week. I think it was on Tuesday that they reported. You have an inside month and a potential rev strat, actually. It went above last month's range, only to close back within it. So you would have a sell signal below 146.97 in EA. Their quarter was quite good, and Battlefield didn't look god-awful, So maybe this is the time EA gets their fastball back. Who knows? Oh, yeah, GameStop's a company that exists. It traded inside month after a volatile June. Another wet fart of a month. Low. So you'd have a sell signal in GameStop below 22.27 and a buy signal in GameStop above 24.84. That's on the monthly chart. It's important to note that after an outside quarter, it's trading inside quarter, but most importantly, it's trading inside of a massive range from last year, and I just would avoid it entirely from the long and the short side. I think people are getting chopped up in that stock trying to be heroes, and I'm not about that life. Google up 4 months in a row. Google should be the king of AI, and they're not. I'm not really sure what's going on over there. I say this every quarter. I think they're actively killing their best product, which is search. But yeah, Google is up on the year, just barely. It's up on the quarter. It's up on the month. It's up on the week. I don't know. It's down on the week. Never mind. Almost had full-time frame continuity. Does not, though. Yeah. Google had a solid quarter, though. They did. It doesn't seem like they're There's no ad revenue recession happening yet because both Google and Facebook had solid quarters. And they're the two largest advertising companies in the United States. I think Tencent might be one of the largest companies in the world that does advertising. Robinhood continues to make me feel like an idiot. Stock is near an all-time high. I would not buy this with Bobby Kotick's money. That's the whole life cycle of Hood right there. They definitely disrupted the industry with the fractional share ownership. They're trying to disrupt the industry with their 24-hour trading. That's certainly a company. IBM with the... Is this an outside? No. Just went down on the month. They actually had a good quarter. And it's up on the year. Speaking of poop from the 80s, Intel's not looking good. Intel hasn't been looking good. They're losing money at their foundry division. They can't make, like, you know, this whole, oh, we're going to make things in America angle of the whole tariff argument. Intel is a fine example of how we can't make anything in America at a profit anymore. They're losing billions of dollars trying to keep their foundries running. And they're starting to outsource their foundry work to other countries. So this idea that we're going to build Intel chips in Ohio, I don't think it's going to happen. They actually beat their estimates on the quarterly report, but the stock still went down because of the foundry data points. We already talked about Meta. Had a great day today. The stock was up 10%. Which is wild, like, because we're talking about companies, like, it's not, we're not talking about pennies here. If for, like, the market capitalization of Meta increased by $200 billion today. At one point, Microsoft was up like $400 billion on the day. These are crazy movements we're seeing in very large stocks. Not like Figma. Like Figma's run, like, sure, it happens on an IPO day with low volume and all that shit. Like, I get why Figma was up 200%, but like Microsoft and Facebook moving 10% in a day, that's rare. It's even more interesting that you had these two stocks that were crushing it today, right? But the NASDAQ was down on the day. The S&P was down on the day. So it's like very few stocks are doing well right now. It's called breadth. The breadth of this market is terrible right now. There's like 10 good companies and 490 terrible companies in the S&P 500. Maybe not all of them are terrible, but like there's only 10 good companies. Like, and I don't mean good as in virtuous or ethical. I just mean stocks that could go up in value. But yeah, interesting to see the dichotomy of both Microsoft up on the day, but obviously off of its highs. Meta up on the day, obviously off of its highs. But then you compare it to the S&P 500, which was just flat out down on the day. I find that pretty interesting. Let's talk about one of my favorite holdings, Nvidia, which got clocked today. It was down 1.8%. Kind of on the back of the ARM Holdings news, I think is what happened. But if you listen to these conference calls like I do, Tesla is investing in AI spend, and XAI by an extension is investing in AI infrastructure. Apple just said part of their increase in R&D spend is going to AI. Microsoft said it. Facebook said they're spending Microsoft said they're spending like $100 billion. I think Facebook said they're spending like $100 billion in the next year on AI infrastructure build-outs. So this money is going to Nvidia a lot of the time. And Jensen Huang has done a good job of kissing Trump's ass enough to allow him to sell AI chips to China. So if they're able to do that, even with the tariffs, they'll probably make some decent money. Because their margins are insane at Nvidia. If they gave you like $1 billion, who? First of all, what would you do with the $1 billion scanner? But also, who's giving you this money? Anyone. I am. So what is this funniest shit ever? Are you buying a rocket car made out of gold? Oh, that's... You don't need $1 billion for that. You don't need you need $1,000 for that. You could probably do that tomorrow. Yeah, a world record. Yeah, I don't know. Have you seen the the Tyrone Bigham sketch from Dave Chappelle's show, where Tyrone wins the lottery or something, and he throws the world's biggest Coke party? He spends like $1 million or something in a day. Yeah, it happened. I could see it. Yeah, I don't know. I know what I'd do with $1 billion. I would acquire Denny's. As a thank you for being there for me. But yeah, look at Denny's. Look at this chart of Denny's. Falling under hard times, man. Really not the best looking chart in the book. But yeah, Nvidia, they report... when is that? They report... They report so far into the future, I don't even have it on our calendar yet. So yeah, they're out there. They're probably... I think it's late August that we'll hear from Nvidia. Let's see. CD Projekt Red traded inside month. I think they've gotten their act together. Yeah, I mean, if you're not in America, clean energy is still a thing you can invest in at a profit. Europe's done a really good job on that. I think it'd be cool to get yeah, clean energy is a good thing. But yeah, you have an inside month for CD Projekt. So that would be a buy signal above 1945 per share, and a sell signal below 1660 a share. But a nice comeback. They bottomed out in 2022 at $4.27, or sorry, $3.98. Hit a recent high of 1974. On the back of that, you know, the Summer of Jeff, where they announced Witcher 4. Or they didn't announce it, but they show. I think we got a better look at Witcher 4, right? So Witcher 4 is coming. So keep this stock on your watch list. This is one of those stocks where when things turn negative and everyone's like the world's ending, maybe you buy some CD Projekt. I think they're after the failures of launching Cyberpunk 2077, I think they've gotten their act together. Cyberpunk itself is a great game now. And it's one of the best Switch 2 ports out there, oddly enough. Woof. Rivian with the inside month and down below 1326. So this would be a continuation of that sell signal next month if it goes below 1196. Rivian is in the crosshairs of this administration here in the United States. They are going to lose the $7,500 tax credit. I believe it goes away in September. That's going to be really rough for their company. They're only selling about 50,000 units this year. I like the quality of their product. I like the style of their product. I like that their CEO did not do a Nazi salute this year. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons to like Rivian. Their balance sheet is not one of those reasons, unfortunately. I would not recommend this stock from a fundamental perspective. They are trading at... They don't have a PE ratio because they're not profitable. They trade at 3 times sales, 2.5 times book. That means they have revenue of $5 billion. They did raise cash recently, so they have cash of $7 billion and debt of almost $5 billion. but they're losing about $500 million a year. Actually, no, sorry. Last year they lost almost $3 billion. So as they ramp up spending, I think that Rivian, it's a very risky stock. I think the stock could go a lot lower, and I think that either they're going to get acquired or they have to do another financing round. So maybe after they issue more shares and dilute shareholders again, maybe that would be a time to buy Rivian. But so far, I have not taken a position in the stock. It is the electric vehicle company that I'm paying the most attention to, because obviously I own Tesla already in a small position, but I own it from many years ago. I don't want to own BYD because I really struggle to analyze Chinese companies. So I kind of just stay away from them. But Rivian is interesting. We pay attention to it here at Shacknews quite a bit. And then, yeah, Tesla. Tesla inside month. So May, it traded in a range of 367.71 to 271. June, it was a range of 357.54 to 273.21. And now in July, the range has collapsed even further, down to a range of a high of 338 and a low of 288.77. This is why you don't buy call options around Tesla earnings. All it does is lose you money. If you really want to be bullish on the stock, just buy it. If you want to be bearish on the stock, short it. But I wouldn't do either right now, because you're looking at inside quarter followed by a potential rev strat back inside again. So it's still cooking an inside quarter. When stocks trade inside of previous bars, it means that the volatility is going down. Volatility is one of the components that determines the price of options. So if your volatility is collapsing, you may even get the directional bet right and still lose money because the volatility went down. And vol on Tesla options tends to be higher than most other stocks. It's been a volatile few months, but I point this out to anyone who tells me that, oh, Tesla's an obvious buy here. I pull up this chart. This is the yearly chart. Tesla went from 138.80 cents in 2024 to 488.54 cents. That's a huge fucking range. And guess what? It's trading inside of that huge fucking range. Making a directional bet on Tesla here is a fool's errand. So I would avoid it because it's inside year. Come back next year. The stock could be much lower. It could go to $140 and it would still be inside the previous year's range. This is where money goes to die. This is how you lose money trading. And even if you're holding Tesla, you're down 23% this year. Not a good feeling. The S&P is up 7.6%. The Dow Jones is up 3.6%. The Nasdaq's up 10%. So Tesla's underperforming every single index by almost 30%. Why would you buy this? Not to mention the Cybertruck's a complete failure. They mentioned Cybertruck once in their earnings release, and it was just their capacity. So they can build 125,000 Cybertrucks a year. Guess what? No one wants 125,000 Cybertrucks. No one wants one Cybertruck. Cybertruck is shit. Now, the Model Y is a good product, and they spent money redesigning their line. If you've seen the new Model Y, it looks pretty clean. But there's obviously a problem with the Tesla brand. They refuse to address it because the board is basically under the control of Elon Musk. Anyway, long story short, stop trading Tesla this year. It's a fool's errand. Take-Two up on the year. They report, I want to say Take-Two reports August 7th. So yeah, a week from today. Week from today, I think. It's had 5 consecutive down weeks after an inside week and down and down and down and down. So this is how continuations can help you, right? So you had an inside week. I know one who wants just one Roadster. Yes, I want the goddamn Roadster because I already bought it, Lucci. Would I buy it today? Hell no. Would I rather have $250,000? Hell yes. Can I sell my pre-order? No. So I'm kind of fucked. And I don't think I'm going to get that this year. That thing is this is the greatest Ponzi scheme of all time. But yeah, Take-Two actually under some pressure right now. On the monthly, it's did not trade inside. Slightly broke down to the downside. So yeah. Below 222, we could see some more selling. Texas Instruments sold off pretty hard on their quarters. That's an outside month to the downside, so it would be a continuation on the sell side. I mean, I got robbed. Yeah, I've been robbed twice in my life. One time at Knife Point in McKinley Park outside the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and then the second time Elon Musk in 2017. But yeah, so you have a risk range in Texas Instruments above 221.69. That would be a buy. More likely is to go below 179.81. That would be a sell signal for the month of August. I believe Unity reports next week. Yeah, on Wednesday of next week, Unity reports. It's up on the month, so, we'll see what happens. No actual signal there. Inside year. So, you heard me just rant about why I don't like to trade inside years. Not really in our coverage space, just a stock I really dislike intensely. Uber, down 6% on the month. At some point, Uber's stock is going to go down. Let's see. Uber. Stop calling me, people. Uber's market cap is $183 billion. It trades at 30 times forward earnings. That's a 13 PEG ratio, 4 times sales, 8 times book value. They have $6 billion of cash, $11 billion of debt, revenue of $45 billion, margins that are around 27%. How on earth does Uber have 27% margins? You want to talk about being robbed? At some point, I think Uber is going to be in deep, deep doo-doo. It's just not today. Speaking of deep, deep doo-doo, Ubisoft. Look at this shitty chart, guys. Look how shitty this chart is. Is there a shittier chart? Is there a worse chart than Ubisoft? Look at this shit. Look how terrible it is. Guess what? I own it. I own this garbage company. It traded inside month. So you would have a sell signal below $2.02, and you would have a buy signal above $2.24. I bought it just because, man, if it doesn't go bankrupt, I think it's going higher. But their management team has shown very little reason to believe that will happen, unfortunately. It can't even stay inside year. Inside quarter still cooking, as I mentioned, inside month. And it's inside week. So we'll see how it ends the week. But yeah. So look at that. Not a stock I talk about very often, but Wendy's is at a 52-week low. Wendy's has not been this low since March of 2000. Are things as bad for Wendy's right now as they were in March of 2000? No. But is the stock worth buying here? No. Unfortunately. I love Dave Thomas. I love the spicy chicken. I think Dave's Single is one of the best hamburgers in America. It's trading at a discount to its sales, but it's 15 times book value. They have a ton of debt. $4 billion worth of debt, only $300 million of cash, and a market cap of $2 billion. I think Denny's may have to raise capital. And that's why I would avoid it. But man, look at this. Just look at this run. All the way up to $30, and now it's below $10 a share. I think it's my first rule of trading is everyone's got to eat. So that's why I'm looking at stocks like Denny's and Wendy's, because these stocks are getting hit because they are being impacted by inflation materially. The cost of food, all that stuff has gone up. And also the cost of labor is going up because people don't want to work for $7 at these places. $7.25. I think my nephew was working part-time at Wendy's. He was getting paid, I think, $12 an hour in Texas, or $10 an hour in Texas, which is above the minimum wage. So they got a lot of cost pressures, both from input costs and from the labor costs. And then to make matters worse, their consumer is the most price sensitive, right? It's not rich people that are going to not go out to eat. It's the people who like getting a Wendy's sandwich for lunch. They may just pack a sandwich because the price is, it's like 80% less. Just make your own chicken sandwich. Although that spicy chicken at Wendy's is real good. They also got spicy chicken nuggets. They got the Frosties. I'm hungry. I don't know if you can tell. But yeah, I wanted to bring everyone's attention to Wendy's. I did not buy Wendy's, but it's in that basket of companies that I always keep an eye on. And yeah, it can go lower. You see back here in the housing crisis bubble, the financial crisis, the Great Recession, the stock dipped below $4. So $9 may be optically cheap, but I think the stock could go lower. And if I were their management, I would be issuing stock to at least fortify the balance sheet. What I've read is instead they are expanding rapidly overseas, opening, I think it's 190 new global stores. Yeah. 170 of them are in Italy and 20 of them are in Armenia. So they're trying to hit 2,000 international stores by 2028. The first Italian location will open in Milan in mid-2026. So this is like, they're making a bet on international growth, which is not the worst idea, but they're doing it in a time where, like, that's a while from now. That's almost a year from now that they're going to open their first international, from this expansion, this first international location. So you're not going to see the benefits from that for like 18 months. So it's a long time between now and then, and I think they're going to have to finance somehow. I do think the lower they go, the more chances they are an acquisition target, right? Because it's not, it's not the most expensive company on earth. We're talking about $2 billion, right? $2 billion acquisition in this economy, in this stock market, is just not that much. Now I'm not saying that anyone's going to do that, but someone's got to give here. They have too much debt. But yeah, that's basically it. Let's look at the XLF real quick. This is the financial sector. So the banks all reported, and what I'm seeing is that the banks that have brokerage arms or trading arms, like Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan Chase, they all did better than expected because of their trading desks, specifically their fixed income and commodities and currency trading desks, their futures traders. They did very well at Goldman, at JP Morgan, at Morgan Stanley. But the other thing going on is that there is weakness showing up in the housing market in the United States. So that's going to be bad for a company like Bank of America, or a company like Citigroup, or a company like Wells Fargo. So these are all sitting at highs. Like you're talking about a financial sector that is now trading at almost double the valuation at which it peaked in 2007. So this whole, we had to bail out the banks to save them. Well, now they're all worth double what they were. Not all, in aggregate, that industry is worth double what it was at the peak in 2007. So that's kind of troubling, in my opinion. And I think that I would just avoid the banks in general. But I have been wondering, like, how best to hedge in this environment. And I was like, maybe shorting the banks, maybe shorting the treasury. So yeah, if you look at the TLT, this is just an ETF of the treasury bond. It's trading here at 86. It's been selling off pretty much since 2020, when we had a negative interest rate on the 10-year. It's been pretty much a downward trend here for a while. And I think if the trade war escalates between China and the United States, I think that treasuries will actually sell off even harder. And then that goes back to hurting the banks, because when treasury prices go down, that means rates go up, which means lending prices go up, which means demand for products and loans go down. So there's some pin action that would happen as a result of this. Oh yeah, it's important to note that the Federal Reserve did meet yesterday, and they decided not to increase or decrease the Fed's discount rate. They are continuing to buy treasuries are at a slower pace than they were previously, so they are tapering the quantitative easing part. But yeah, the Federal Reserve is still doing their thing. Let me see if I can find the PDF. This is the wrong month. They met on the 30th. Yeah, okay. So let me just bring this over here. So yeah, they kept the rate the same. Yeah, it's nothing too crazy. But yeah, like Trump has actively been calling for the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates, and they didn't. Because everything's about to go up in price from the tariffs. And if you start lowering rates as inflation is ramping, it could get out of control. Right now, the Fed feels like they have some kind of control over inflation, more than they did 2 years ago. But it's still out of control because of the tariffs. And they're reactionary. They want to see why. They want to see what happens. Like the cause and effect situation. Yeah. Sorry, I think that's probably it. I don't really have anything else. I don't know. Anyone else? You guys got any questions? Any stocks that I didn't mention you want me to take a look at? Nope. Okay. Well, I think that'll do it for Game Trader Live then. Sound like a plan? Yeah, okay. The next episode, I like to let people know when the next episode will be. The 31st of August falls on a Sunday, which means the final trading day of the month will be August 29th. So August 29th will be the next episode of Game Trader Live. This is an educational show. I'm not here to recommend anything. I will be transparent about what I own, be it trash like Ubisoft or good companies like Nintendo. But yeah, I own stocks. I trade them. I haven't really done much trading lately. Because like I said, when you have some inside ears, you can get chopped up, and I don't like losing money. So yeah, we got a Nintendo quarterly report coming out this evening, so keep it locked on shacknews.com for that. I'll have a few articles up. I think Sam Chandler will be my tag team partner tonight covering Nintendo. And yeah, as always, manage your risk. Know what you own. Study what you own. Understand what you own. Understand what the people betting against your position think. Right? Do some opposition research. So if someone's short a company that I own, I want to know why they're short. And I want to know if I think they're an idiot or not. Or if I'm long, or if I'm short, I want to know what the longs are thinking. So it's just important to give yourself perspective and not to get emotional about these pieces of paper that we trade back and forth. The goal here is to make money. This isn't necessarily a show that's about the ethics of capitalism. This is more a show about this is how the market works. We spent a lot of today talking about the fundamentals because once every quarter we hear from these companies about their underlying businesses. So this is that little glimpse we have of transparency into underlying business operations. But then the rest of the year, it's whichever way the wind blows, whichever way the president tweets will determine price action. So yeah, you had a pretty good month for the S&P. It would not be surprising if some saber rattling occurs between the United States and China, as they appear to be one of the 4 countries that have not struck a deal with the Trump administration going into the deadline, but they did get it extended. So China is a different trading partner than the rest of these folks. That's what it seems to be. So yeah. I think we got Jan is streaming at 9. So we got about an hour and 20 minutes until then. I'm not going to stream for another hour and 20 minutes here. I'm going to go eat dinner. So thanks for watching, everybody. As always, manage your risk. And yeah, like, follow, subscribe if you want to stay up to date on this. You can also follow me at TechnoSucks on Twitter. My account is public again. And I do tweet about stocks there. Sometimes I try to leave some stuff out of our coverage universe here. But even like I had to bring up Wendy's and Denny's here because like I do think there's something going on in the fast food space in general. You're seeing it with Chipotle. Their stock was down a ton this month, outside month to the downside. McDonald's stock is not at an all-time high right now. Quick Service, Restaurant Brands International traded inside month. So yeah, you have the food industry is kind of going to be under pressure here, but in the long run, I think these companies, not all of them, but most of these companies will be able to make it out on the other side. So there could be some opportunities here in whatever panic ensues in August. So once again, what did I say? Manage your risk. How do you do it? By doing your homework. And yeah, if you have any questions, hit me up on the chatty or on Twitter or on Discord. I'm in the Money Talks channel every day over there. So yeah, we'll see you next time on Game Trader Live. I've been Asif Khan, your CEO, Editor-in-Chief, and EIEIO, which stands for Extremely Intelligent Extreme Intelligence Officer. Bye-bye!